Hey guys, how you doing? I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I would do another one on the Merlin models Return of the Jedi ATST, which is absolutely glorious. It's all metal armature. Everything's been scanned, all the original parts have been scanned and reproduced in gorgeous resin. And now I'm just going to give it some paint. It's already sitting in primer, which is actually quite close to the studio model, but it needs to be lighter. So I will be using ILM Armour Grey by ArchiveX, if I can find it. Here we go. Enamel, so it just dries really flat and nice. But first of all, on the ref, there is, oops, you can see there is some worn areas where the resin's shining through the head. So I like to replicate how it literally sits in the archives now. So I'm going to spray some white and some tiny bit of orange where it's just faded. There's a little bit under the guns as well. And even on the front of the chin there. So I'm going to replicate that just by using some, I don't know, Depot buff with mixed with a bit of white, I think, and replicate that. So first of all, I'm going to spray the back with some white. Okay, so I've just given it a spray of white with literally a drop or half a drop of yellow in, just to give it that. It looks bright and harsh at the moment, but not much of that will be left over. I'll let that dry, and then I'll put some liquid mask over that, and then completely base coat it, do the weathering, and then right at the end I'll rub that off to reveal the chipped paint, so it appears like bare resin. There's a little bit on the back there as well. Okay, so I'm just using Winsor & Newton masking fluid, liquid mask. Poured a little bit out in the lid. I'm using these rubber tipped sort of sculpting tools you can get from like a hobbycraft shop. And now I'm going to go over the white areas and just pick out what I can see left of the resin. Annoyingly, this is the same colour as the bloody paint, so it doesn't matter, I can still see the shape of it. Just dabbing this on. I think I might get a sponge for some of it, because it does look like it's really worn in like a tiny way. These are a little bit too big, so I'll do the majority of the big areas with this. There's a little bit on the edges inside these kit parts. There's a nice build-up of filth and fluff and dirt and dust, which probably wasn't how it looked on the original model, but over time sitting in the archives and being handled and moving about, that's collected all that lovely grime and dirt that I like to replicate. No other reason, it's just fun. It's just nice to add a bit more life to it. It shows a journey that the model's been on. That's why I like to replicate how it looks. If you were to steal it from the archives today. Right, I'll just get a sponge. I've got plenty of this foam. And just rip it like that. Take a bit out of the pot. And take the weight of it off on a sponge so you don't get a massive blob of it. Paper towel rather. Okay. Oh, didn't mean to get it on that. 8 red hatch. It should be all off there now. See, already you can see that it's starting to dry. It's quick stuff. There's a little bit on the bottom here, the side of this armour plating. Sorry if you can't see that. A little bit over there, but I can add that afterwards. I didn't spray that. I think that's all. Looking at the ref, actually, that's slightly orange at the top, so I might have to go in with a small brush around the top section and just make that slightly orange. Now on the front there is some damage as well. I'm using the Chronicles as ref, and also some ref I've got myself. But the Chronicles is fantastic. Can be a bit funny on colours because some of the pictures taken were edited and highly exposed and the contrast has been whacked up, but generally we're not going to get better, I don't think, than this book. It's the newer vehicles Chronicles, it's not the old one, although that is good. Both worth picking up. There. Right. Let that dry for a few minutes. I don't think you can see that. And then crack on to the armour grey. Okay, I've made my mix-up of the armour grey enamel from Archive X. They do this in acrylic as well. Well, only in acrylic now, so this is hard to come by, but the enamel is just mixed with normal white spirit from the shop, DIY store, 50-50, but as you can see, I mean, it's so close to the grey primer, it's going to be a bit difficult to see where I've been and where I haven't, but we'll give that a go now. Yeah, as I thought, that's going to be difficult to see where I've been, but very close to the primer colour, but it's just a shade lighter, and that will dry more matte as well than the primer. But I'll go over the back so you can see that coverage. Okay, I'm not going to show you the whole video of me base coating this because it'd be very boring. That's how it looks. Okay, so it's still wet as you can see, but that is fully coated in ILM Armour Grey base coat, which, as I said before, it isn't a huge amount different to the primer colour, but once it dries, that'll be lighter and it'll be matte. So then I can move on to the next stage. Okay, so this is dried. On the sides, I can see some what looks like foundation going on. It might be a little bit darker than that, I don't know, but whatever, it adds interest. You'll never get it spot on, just a general sort of light dusty shade, but there's certainly some foundation going on here and on top of that armour plating. So got some mixed up 50-50 with white spirit, and we'll just add some on the sides of the head, mist it on, just randomly cloudy sort of pattern. Some down here. Just a general mist really, just it lightens it up as well, which helps with the weathering. Don't know if there's any on the nose or the front. There is a little bit. It's weird because it looks more prominent in the Chronicles book, but the ref I've got from the archives doesn't look as prominent. So again, it's typical to that archives book. The contrast is cranked up quite a lot. Skip some spattering. There's not much on the back. There's a general mist. A lot of this will be covered over when you start in the engine black anyway. There. Whoa. There we go. So there's black going on inside this ear. And down the side here. It's like just missed the back of it a little bit. A bit up top here, a bit inside here. Really subtle with this mist, and I haven't thinned it down too much either because it's so speckly. I'm not sure if you can see that. Sorry about the lighting, it's terrible, but you're just gonna have to put up with it. Okay, bear with me while I just flick through the ref. It's actually some on the gun. That's mainly wear, actually, but just going to stop it there. Bottom of the gun, about the chin. Inside here. Sorry about this, I'm just going through ref pictures and making you wait. Feel free to fast forward. There's even some on this panel here. I think the whole lot's been misted actually. Okay. On the back there, doesn't appear to be too. On the top there's a little bit of misting. There's some on this area, but then that's rubbed away. It's not hardly even a streak, but there was something. Inside here there's a bit going on. Inside here there's some going on, little streak. Inside this gun. There is a little bit on the top. Very subtle, whatever it is. Just trying to get a good picture of the front of the face of the ATST. I don't know if these streaks are actually done by hand, but I'm going to just suggest them with the airbrush around the eyes. It's like the streaking on the left eye. And the right. But I think I need to go in with a brush and do that. A little bit on the gun. On top, there is some at the back. There's like a streak going across. Underneath there'll be just shadowing going on. There. I'll leave that there for a bit. Hopefully you can see that. Sorry about the long pauses. And sorry about the lack of light. But that's looking okay. So as I'm looking at the ref, there appears to be sort of like light grey chipping, probably added by a brush, but I'm going to use a sponge. And all around here actually really subtle, but I'm going to use the acrylic ILM DS Surface Grey, and I'm just going to dab that on with a sponge. It'll be blended in at the end anyway. Hopefully that's a lighter shade than the armour grey. So let's just dab that on. There's a bit up here. There's loads. Around here. I'm rotating that sponge so I don't get repeated chips. This looks quite drastic now, but I want to go over that with the ILM Armour Grey again. Some down on the front of the sort of damage or chipping. I don't quite know what that is, but it's a bit too bright at the moment. But as I say, I can go over that and blend it in with the Armour Grey. There's some up here. Quite a lot of it. It's all like mottled all over it. Some on the top here. What else? On this side there's some. What else? These two bits are highlighted where that's rubbed off. And I think on the other side as well. Okay, again, bear with me while I go through the ref. Sorry about this. Some on the chins, guns. Okay, but I'm just going to do that everywhere I find chipping. Okay, so it looks super harsh at the moment. So I'm going to go back in with my ILM Armour Grey, which I need to make up. Again, 50-50 on that with enamel thinners. Okay, and that's made it slightly more subtle. To be honest, that could have just been a bit of sandpaper just rubbed against it. There we go. Okay, now that's blended in. What I can see down here is some more black, but it's been knocked back, whether by being handled or with a bit of sandpaper or something. And this looks to be a slightly different shade. That's almost like a blue-grey. So I might have to mask that out. I don't know if it's on both sides. It only looks like one side. It's like it almost looks like a. I might hit that with ILM Stormy Grey actually to get that blue. Even if it's not on there, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? Might as well try it. But I'll do the black first around here and then knock it back with a bit of sandpaper. There's mottling all over this of black. Something's going on. I don't know, we'll have a play. Bit of a darker patch there. There's a bit of brown here as well. Right, before that's even dry, I'm just going to get a bit of sandpaper. And just try and knock that back. You see that? That's just giving it some interest, because I think there's a bit down here as well. There you go. So I'll be doing that all. I'm just going to go around it now and just do that in areas that I can see. So there we go. I've just been playing with that black and just sort of very carefully knocking it back. There's like a splodge there that I don't really like, so I'm going to make that a bit more interesting. And then I'm going to try and figure that out. I'm going to spray that with RLM Stormy Sea Grey, I think. Even if it's not on there. Sod it. Okay, so I've masked out that panel. I can't see it on the other one. This one just looks slightly, has like a blue tone to it. So I'm going to literally just mist some RLM Stormy Sea Grey. That's all I'm going to do. RLM Stormy Sea Grey, because it just looks, I don't know, it just looks different on the ref. One more for luck. Okay, it's giving it a different tone, which is what I can see in the book. Okay, another little trick I use is some super thin down black enamel. It's almost like tinted thinner. Let me just add a little bit more, because you want it just to, you don't want any black really, you just want shadows. Feel some more thinner in there. You get an old brush like this. Practice on a kitchen towel first, and just flick it off the edge of the cup all over the area you want to do. And that gives you just some slight interest. Most of that will evaporate and dry and you won't see it, but under certain lights, God, my lighting's terrible. I've got the sunlight and the lamp on, but hopefully you can see that. There you go. It's just that really subtle spattering. And you do that all over it, and you get that effect. Okay, so now I'm going to be working on the back where I did that mask all. As you can see in the ref, there's some streaking down black, which has literally been put on and wiped. But trying to recreate that by just putting it on and wiping it won't really get that effect. So you have to sort of cheat and just paint it on. And rather than use acrylic paint, which will just dry instantly and you won't be able to manipulate it, I'm going to use some oils from Uptlung with my Millennium Falcon on the front. And I'm going to use some Starship Filth. So I'm going to get that ready and start doing that. Okay, so I've got some little tiny bit of oil on that palette. You should put it on cardboard really, because it wicks the linseed oil out, but for this doesn't really matter. And then to thin it, and blend it in. I'm using some of this odourless terpenoid. You can use white spirit. Yeah, so don't know if I should get rid of that. Yeah, I think I should get rid of that mask on now. This is enamel, right? And look how, I mean, this has been on there. I've been working on this for, I don't know, 40 minutes on and off. And it's just rock hard. It's brilliant stuff. Some there. Some down there. How I'm going to get that off, I don't know. Underneath the guns. Not guns, pipes, whatever they are. Well, I can use a cocktail stick later, but that's not important right now. So I'll get me Starship filth. And just try and block out that dirty oil streak. So it goes over there. Sorry, I'm turning my head to the right to look at the laptop with the ref on. You'll never replicate this in just one swoop like they used. So you do have to cheat a bit like this, unfortunately. There's actually some white in here. I'll put a bit thinner in there to try and make that a bit lighter. Just see if that blends like the original. It's not going to look perfect, but it's an imitation. It's a replica, isn't it? There's some slight marks here. Goes around the edge. So there you go. I'm just going to play with that and do the same on the other side. Okay, so that's my way of trying to imitate that. There's a airbrush mark as well, and I need to tighten up that white resin shining through, but and there's some, like, there you go, but let me just show you. There's some like globs, if I can focus on that. There, there's orange dots, so they are raised. I don't know if they're glue or splatter or something seeped through from the resin, but they are definitely raised. I don't know if I can even zoom in, but on the ref I have, they're raised. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix up some Tamiya clear orange and red and try and drop it on and hope it stays thick and sort of raised in that pattern. Okay, so to get these droplets of orange on the back, you see they've got roundness to them. They're sort of relief. That was done by mixing up some 5-minute epoxy and adding some Tamiya clear orange. So I've got some super good ref of this whole section up close, and I don't know what it is. It's weird, but it looks just like that. I don't know what spillage it was or some sort of glue that got on there. But anyway, if you want to replicate it like the original and have that weird orange on there, that's how to do it. Okay, so there we have it. It looks really dark in these pictures. It's certainly not this dark in person, but there we go. That's just an overview of how I've got so far. I mean, that looks so dark. It's not that dark. That's more like it. Well, maybe not. Excuse the bashing of the camera. There's those little droplets on the back. really weird, but they're on there. And some dusting on the top. But I still need to go and fix a few things. I've got to do the stripes on the end of the gun barrels and some more scratches here and there. But that gives you an idea of how I've done it. So again, sorry for the shaky cam and the terrible lighting, but I'm just going to basically do the same thing now on the body. Thanks for watching.